Hello, new in firmware 1.14 of the disting NT is the Spectral Conquest algorithm, which is based on a VST plugin of the same name, which we released well over a decade ago, which has been popular over the years. It does FFT-based spectral manipulation of audio. So let's give it some audio. I've got something coming from another module here, which I'll plug in, like so. So that's the UI. It shows you a spectrum analysis of the resulting signal, so you can see what you're doing to it. A couple of parameters relating to the analysis, which is going to set the size of the FFT and therefore the CPU usage. You can run it at a lower sample rate, which obviously reduces the bandwidth, but also changes the CPU usage. But we'll skip over that. There's a number of different processes that you can run this through. So we'll go through them one at a time. This obviously isn't a spectral process, this is just a wet-dry gain control. So we'll skip over that. Right, so the first one is shift, spectral shift. Let's enable that. With zero shift, it sounds identical. If we start shifting things up by FFT bins, it starts going up. So it's not pitch shifting, it's frequency shifting. And it's only in increments of FFT bins. So that's on the drum. Give it something a bit more tonal. So this is a piano, and I'm just going to fill it out with a bit of a delay. Thing about frequency shifting, this included, is that if you do it on harmonic sounds, like the piano in this case, it breaks the harmonic relationship between the partials of the sound, so things become clangorous, bell-like. Let's go down. So that's kind of interesting, and again, if I give it a bit of a song. Curious. And the other control you've got in this section is reverse, which basically flips the whole spectrum. High becomes low, low becomes high. And then we'll have to shift it back down again. Which way are we shifting? Other way. Let's go back to our piano. Unusual sounds. Drum loop. So in this case, all the energy from the bass drum has been flipped up to a very high, slightly piercing sound there, which is interesting. Let's turn that off and we'll move on to the next one. Gate. Okay, so what this does is it gives you a threshold between which things have to be for them to get through. So the most obviously useful one is the lower threshold. Do this. Only FFT bins that exceed that threshold are going to get through. Let's go back to the... So just as a reminder of what this is working on. That's with quite a high threshold, so not much is getting through apart from when it gets loud. Let's go back to our piano. sine waves really. And then the upper threshold is going to basically knock out anything apart from the quiet stuff. So that's the gate. Comb. It basically gives you a comb filter. Again, it's all using FFTs. Turn that on. So you've got three things that all work together here. You've got a step, a width, and an offset. So the step is how many bins the pattern's going to repeat over. The width is going to be how many of those bins are zeroed. So if we put that at 1, we'll just get some very narrow slices into the frequency spectrum. If we put that all, make that basically almost as big as the step, then we're just left with some very narrow things remaining rather than narrow slices out. And then you can offset the kind of base point of that pattern. Kind of a weird flanger phaser kind of thing. Let's put something else through that. That's the comb. Complementary to the comb, there's two kinds of sieve, harmonic and chord sieve. So we'll do the harmonic sieve first. We'll go back to our drums, I think. Turn that on. So basically, you're going to give it, let's go down to 1, a frequency. And it's going to give you a number of harmonics of that frequency that you choose. So that's that, harmonics of a particular frequency or note. Complementary to that would be the chord sieve. So this is similar, except you give it a note and then you can fade in and out the various semitones within a chord and choose the number of octaves you want that to resonate over. So at the moment I've got octave and a little bit of the fifth. Let's just go back to the tonic of the chord. Give it a bit of a fifth. Give it a little bit of major third. There we go. And if we wanted to change that completely. So it's a resonator, basically. Let's give it. This can be quite effective on stuff that's already got a kind of chordal basis, because it can really resonate with particular chords, especially obviously the key that the chord is in. Let's put this one down to C. F sharp doesn't resonate with it much. F does. Seventh chord there, it's quite interesting. So that's the chordal sieve. The next section is the polysynth. We'll have to zoom out a little bit for this one to get a keyboard in here. The polysynth is very similar to the chord sieve, except rather than dialing in the parameters on the module, we basically can play it as a synth. I'm going to use MIDI here. You could give it CV Gate, you could give it I2C, anywhere you can send in notes, and then it'll do exactly what the chord sieve does. Let's turn that up a little bit. So, chord notes, and it'll give you that chord, or those notes that you're holding down. It's got the full polysynth logic like everything has on the NT, so all the ways of controlling it, transpose, fine-tune, all that stuff. It supports microtuning if you want to give it a Scala file, envelopes. Let's give it a bit of a longer release. It's got automatic chord generation. I'm using that at the moment to basically get 2 octaves from every note I press, but we could have chords. Let's go up an octave. All that stuff, yeah, and all the CV Gate inputs. So yeah, like I say, an absolute load of ways of controlling it, and you end up with a nice FFT-based resonance from your chords. Next, filters. There's a whole bunch of filters. Now, being that these are based on given that these are based on FFTs, they're effectively brick wall filters. There's no fall off like 6 dB per octave, 12 dB per octave or anything like that. It's absolutely exact. The downside being that there's only a resolution and a frequency of 1 FFT bin, which can be quite coarse. So if we go through in order, low pass. There we go. So you can see the filter just completely slicing into the frequency spectrum. Low pass, high pass, same again. And off, and then there's band pass. Shows you've got a low and a high for that, so you can determine the bit that you want. So that's the whole thing, that's the bandpass version. And then complementary to that would be notch, where you're just slicing a section out of the middle of the frequency spectrum. So yeah, that's the Spectral Conquest on the disting NT.